Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, and I'm joined by Matt.
Hey, what's up?
And Connor's here too.
I feel like you're usually more enthusiastic on these ones, at least.
Yeah, but Matt's here, so it feels more like a comics episode. So I sort of default back into
Unacceptable.
Streetcar at the shitty third wheel. This is a movie discussion podcast show thingamajig, and this is a special episode because this is also kind of a Comics from the Multiverse episode as well. This is us going to be talking about the new DC Comics film. It is Birds of Prey, or let me get the full title up because I don't remember the whole thing.
Birds of Prey.
And the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn is the full title. Although I love that IMDb didn't even put that in the title. They put that in the subheading. The main title is just Birds of Prey. IMDb's not messing around with it. No, we're not doing this. So we'll start spoiler free as we always do, and we'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. We're going to talk about the film, of course. We mentioned the comics podcast. All three of us do a DC Comics podcast every week called Comics from the Multiverse. This review will also be on that feed, and that's just relevant because we are all DC Comics fans. We all know these characters, fairly well to varying degrees, and we've reviewed most of the previous DC films. Somehow we all skipped Joker though at the time. I mean, Matt saw it in theater, but there was no discussion of it.
Because why? We weren't going to add anything to the conversation. We'd all just come off as, I don't want to say bitter, but none of us particularly liked it that much.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's all right.
It was lukewarm at best all around. So coming into this movie though, there was a variety of opinions coming in. There was a kind of a weird journey to it where, we heard there was a Birds of Prey movie coming. And then it was like, okay, Margot Robbie's going to be in it as Harley Quinn. And then we got the title reveal. And it was like, oh, okay, what's this? Then the trailer came out and so on and so on. And it more and more looked more of a Harley Quinn movie than it did a Birds of Prey movie. And notably missing is Barbara Gordon, who is one of the founding members of Birds of Prey in the comic books. In fact, there's only two founding members. It's Barbara Gordon and Dinah Lance, Black Canary. Those are the two original characters. Huntress is kind of became the third main character along the way. And this movie doesn't have Barbara in it, but it does have the other characters. It also has Renee Montoya, who's typically a Bat character, by extension.
She feels in the wheelhouse of these characters, to be fair.
Yeah, she's not like a million. I mean, to be fair, they're all kind of Bat-related for the most part. But I mean, Black Canary being the one who kind of comes from elsewhere. But, Huntress is kind of around the Bat family, but not in it.
I mean, she takes her first appearance, she was Helena Wayne, not Bertinelli. Bertinelli was added later.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the version we were dealing with it was the post-crisis version.
She more just kept that association though because of her origin, and even though she wasn't actually related to any of the Bat family anymore, it was just she's just associated with them now.
She feels more like a cousin, whereas the Batgirls and the Robins all feel like brothers and sisters, if you will. She feels like a cousin of the Bat family.
Yeah, I mean, she does murder people with arrows, so...
Yeah, so that separates her a little bit. So going into this, I had a lot of worries. Mainly because I didn't like the trailers. I didn't like the sense of humor it was going for, which was, I mean, to be fair, was very Harley Quinn from Harley Quinn's, most of her comics.
Yeah, specifically the Palmiotti and Connor stuff, which I think started in the New 52 sometime.
Yeah, it was like halfway through or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that'd been going for many years, and they had a really long run, and this movie, from the trailers at least, looked like it was going to have that kind of tone. And as someone who hated that comic book and didn't want to read any more after one issue, that was concerning, especially since I wanted a Birds of Prey movie, and this did not look like a Birds of Prey story. And then you add in the other element I was really worried about, which was Cassandra Cain, who didn't seem to resemble the character of Cassandra Cain in the comics at all. And having seen the movie, I mean, before I even get to my opinion of the movie, I'll just say that factually, not only is she heavily changed from Cassandra Cain, she's basically the polar opposite of what Cassandra Cain is in every single way.
She only shares a name, and that's a shame, because she could have been Molly Malone. For all we know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she could have been anyone.
Any name,
Yeah, she could have been Jane Smith, and that'd have worked. because Cassandra, I'll get into in the review why she's so different, but so that was the other big thing. So whereas you were more positive, I mean, Connor was the most positive out of the three of us going into it.
Contextually here, I do happen to really like that Harley Quinn run, so I was like, oh, let's do that. I'm down for that. I knew, again, context, no, Barbara Gordon was not their choice. She was tied up for other projects. I think it was at the time the Joss Whedon Batgirl thing that was in production that meant that she couldn't be used for this. Stuff like that. And so I'm just like, all right, okay, I'm not going to hold that against them. It's not their choice.
I won't hold it against the filmmakers. I'll hold it against DC. I'm holding it against someone. Someone made that call, so I'm holding it against them. Like, making a Birds of Prey movie without Barbara Gordon is an absolute asinine decision, and I don't care who made it.
It's a weird thing, but this came about because of Margot Robbie. They were like, hey, we'll give you a solo Harley Quinn movie. And she went, let's get more people involved. Let's get more ladies on screen. That was the entire reason that it existed. So, kind of looking at it from that angle, yeah, sure, I'd rather have, Huntress and Black Canary as a pseudo Birds of Prey and not have Barbara Gordon than just not have them.
I disagree. I don't want versions of these characters. Sorry, man. I don't want versions of these characters, like in this weird, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like compromised versions, right? I don't want a compromised tale of it. I'd rather not have them than have, and I get the sentiment. Like I'm okay with the idea of I want more characters involved. I want more women involved. I get that, and I'm okay with that on board. I don't really want any of that in a Harley Quinn movie though, and I don't think there's anything I want in a Harley Quinn movie, to be honest. Like that's kind of my problem from the get go, is that this being a Harley Quinn movie first was always going to put it in kind of a negative place for me before I even saw it. Yes, Matt?
No, nothing. I just, I don't know. I guess just being a Superman fan and not having a fun movie for Superman in my lifetime, if they're going to take chances, do something like this. Get as many people as you can involved. And if the characters are there, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to hold the no Barbara Gordon to it because the movie still works out fine. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, she feels like she's missing. So, I don't know.
I think what it comes down to is, Cassandra aside, we'll come back to Cassandra, because like we all agree, this is just, it's not Cassandra.
There's no arguing.
Just the name.
It's factual. Like, she just isn't her.
So take that out of the equation. All the other characters are not compromised versions of those characters. This that's Black Canary. Sure, that's Huntress. They feel like those characters. 100%. So is it technically a compromised Birds of Prey without Barbara Gordon? Sure.
Yeah, but like this could have just been the Harley Quinn movie and not been called Birds of Prey, and I think it would have been fine. But I think that Margot Robbie wanted that, because she strikes me, as I've seen more interviews with her, she has read the comics and stuff. Like, she's familiar with these characters. So the fact that she wanted Huntress and Black Canary in this version of Gotham, I think that's a smart move on her part. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would rather not have them. I mean, these characters are as accurate as they would get on screen, really. They're as accurate as an adaptation can really be.
Oh yeah, but the screen time is limited because the lion's share of the film is Harley Quinn's movie.
Yeah, okay, so this is...
That is compromise.
This is a Harley Quinn movie that also happens to be a backdoor pilot for Birds of Prey. Yeah.
Which is never going to go anywhere because the movie's not doing that well.
Yeah, which is a shame. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try.
Right.
It's a frustrating, because I'm seeing there's so many decisions with this movie that remind me of just weird decisions that have been made in the past that I don't understand. And obviously Cassandra Cain's at the forefront of that, because like, why name her that? I mean, it just like all you're doing is potentially pissing off people who care about the character, and everyone who doesn't know who she is don't give a shit that she's different and won't know the name anyway. So there's no appeal to those people for calling her that. So it's just a weird thing. It's the same argument when it comes to like talking about like. Why remake an old movie that the younger generation won't even get the prestige or the why do we care about RoboCop? We never, we grew up after RoboCop. We don't know what that is. And anyone who does know what RoboCop is like, what? You remake my movie. What? This looks terrible. Why would you touch my thing? It's just kind of that idea.
Well, because I already know one of my friends that went to see wanted to read a Birds of Prey comic after this, and I go, Harley's not in there. She goes, oh yeah, I don't care about Harley. I like Black Canary. So that's why, like, it's if I hand her a Black Canary comic, it's solely based off of her seeing this movie.
Yeah, this movie. Again, I think this is the whole thing of what Margot Robbie wanted. This has introduced people to Huntress, to Black Canary, and it's expanded that audience for those characters. And like we say, those are, at least in my opinion, faithful representations of those characters. I don't know if Pete maybe disagrees.
Yeah, all things being equal, I'd rather have something like this. And like, sure, I'm missing Babs. I love Babs, right? It's Batgirl. She's a key member of the Bat family. But I'll take what we got here versus something like Green Lantern, which to me completely missed the mark, with that property. Like here I felt that the screenwriter understood what made each of these characters tick. And sure, this isn't a Harley that I particularly want to go and read, but she worked here, right? Like as soon as I saw the roller derby scene, I go, oh, this is the Connor Palmiotti.
Yeah,
like,
as far
that's
as
just the vibe.
As far as the characters and for the most part, their personalities are fine. Black Canary for the most part feels like Black Canary in attitude. I think Huntress, she's got the anger issues, all that stuff is there. Montoya felt a little bit weird to me. She felt a little bit more of a pushover than I'm used to Montoya being, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of her arc over the movie, though, to be fair.
I never felt like this is a Montoya that becomes the question.
Yeah.
This is the down and out version.
And I think part of that is the decision to cast someone who's at this age. Because this woman's in her 50s. This is a completely different type of
Perez.
character to, because in the comics she's usually that late 20s, early 30s, hard-edged young cop.
This is a Montoya who never became the question, who got stuck, in the police
middle
department
management.
and got shafted.
Yeah. Right. That said, she's obviously a lot more recognizable than Cassandra Caris because she's still, and then I will get into Black Mask and spoilers because I feel like a lot of the stuff I want to talk about with that is, separate and behind the spoiler wall. But no, the characters are for the most part there, but a lot of them feel relegated to like minor roles to me in this. And I think ultimately when it comes down to did I like this movie or not, because you two clearly did more than I did, is that I don't like this type of Harley Quinn, and I never have. And I think this is a better made movie than most of the DCEU stuff. If this is kind of a semi-sequel to Suicide Squad, and obviously comparing it to that, this looks very favorable because it's edited competently in it.
There are very, very brief references to that movie and just in context, but it's about it.
It's notable that even though there's one quick shot technically of that from that movie that has the Joker in it, they specifically chose to show it from behind his head so we didn't see his face.
They didn't want to make you think about it too much. So just you sure this is after that if you saw that, but ultimately you don't need to have seen that at all. This gives you everything that you need.
Right, this is what Suicide Squad could have been, because the music as well, like you could tell that Ayer really wanted to have music be a key part of Suicide Squad.
I want to make a complaint here, actually. I hated the soundtrack in this.
That's fine. That's not my point, though.
No, but specifically not the songs that were chosen. I hated how frequent it was. I felt like every 2 minutes another track started playing. And for me, that was actually the exact... I mean, it doesn't share a lot of problems with Suicide Squad, but if there's one thing I'm going to say it shares with Suicide Squad, it's that how much it relies on songs being inserted, and a lot of them felt kind of out of place to me. That was very consistent throughout the film.
I don't mind using a soundtrack as a score, which is definitely what this does for the most part, because I didn't feel they were out of place. I felt they always fit and worked. So, and I never felt like, oh, I'm really noticing this song. It's taking me out of the moment. It was just kind of there, giving the mood of the scene. Right. So that worked for me.
The Halsey song in particular, I didn't know that was Halsey. So I'm like, what's this song? I need to track this down as soon as the movie's over. So
I don't know which one. I'll have to go check it out.
It's the fight scene in the prison with the water.
Sure. Yeah.
But my point is that Suicide Squad had just felt way overdone, and I understand where Pete's coming from with it here, but I felt like at least these songs felt in tone. It wasn't just like the director wanted them here, like I felt in Suicide Squad, where Air was just like, oh, I want this song here because it's this. These are just like, okay, these are songs from the soundtrack. They're going to be the score. And I felt
think the key difference is Suicide Squad felt like, hey, Guardians of the Galaxy just did that. Let's do that. And
Right.
this actually feels like they had a reason for doing it. Like, oh, you know, this is a creative choice in the same way that it was in Guardians of the Galaxy, rather than just Suicide Squad to jump on the hype.
Yeah, but if I compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy then with its soundtrack, I think Guardians succeeds way better with that soundtrack because they still didn't feel like they were every 2 minutes. It felt more spread out. It felt like each one felt more important. With this one, sometimes a song would end and then the next one would start within a minute, and it felt like, you know, I mean, again, you could argue the song choice is better than Suicide Squad, but I ended up with a similar feeling of, oh, the director left her playlist on random, and like stuff's just playing throughout the whole movie, and it leads to a pacing that I don't really like in this movie, where I don't necessarily mind the thing where, because it plays with narrative structure where it's jumping back and forth a little bit, especially in the first half. The first half has a lot of bouncing around as Harley's kind of telling things out of order. And that's fine. I don't necessarily like it that much, but unlike Suicide Squad's edit, it never felt like it was incompetent or anything like that. It felt like this was a very intentional choice. Not one that necessarily worked for me, but at least I didn't feel like that someone was fumbling.
You could always follow it. You knew exactly what it was doing and when it was jumping around for what reason. Because there was always a reason, and there was usually some voiceover explaining, we're going back for this reason.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I do think that this is a very competent movie, and there's things I like about it. There's a couple of action scenes that I think are really well done, but what's really weird to me is there's a couple of action scenes that I think are really bad. So I've got the back and forth. There's the one that Matt mentioned with the song in the jail sort of section of the movie. That fight is, I mean, I'll critique that maybe Harley Quinn has better fighting skills in that scene than Captain America does in some ways, but but that's a completely separate debate. Let's just assume she's the best at everything, and that's fine because it's her movie. It's shot really well. It's very stylized. I think the comparison to John Wick are a bit extreme, but like,
I get where they're coming from, though.
Yeah, it's
as good.
It's going for that. It's going for that.
I did read that she said that Margot Robbie, when on set as the producer, said that she wanted the fight scenes to feel like they came from a Jackie Chan movie. And so I'm like, oh, these are just going to be very slapsticky. And then some of that's there. But no, the choreography, like the camera doesn't cut around, right? Like they're prone to do in a lot of these newer action scenes. That's why John Wick feels so fresh. Is because they're more of these almost one-take fight sequences, which, like I just said, we don't get those as much anymore. So this made it stand out, and that's probably my favorite action sequence in the movie.
Oh yeah, I think it's easily the best action scene in the movie. But on the contrary side, the fight in the third act, I won't say the context, but let's just say it's like an amusement park. I'll just say that.
I really like that one.
I think it's CW levels of just meaningless.
To me, it's too busy, but
yeah, it's too busy. Nothing really interesting happens in it.
Intent.
And it's cutting around too many characters, and I had a lot of thoughts go through my head during that fight scene because I wasn't into it. I was just like, I started thinking about how they were doing it rather than actually paying attention to it, because I mean, it felt like any typical fight scene where, okay, it looks better visually than a CW scene because I'm not in a warehouse, because they've got budget for something more. But that almost made it worse in a weird way, because it's it's in this sort of fun house with all these like weird random like big hands and shapes and like all these kooky surroundings, and it almost made the geography of it harder to really kind of get invested in, because I didn't really feel where things were.
Like you say, the geography was unusual. Not in a sense that I felt lost, but I was having to follow it, and for me that worked in the same way that it was a confusing environment intentionally. Like it felt like if you were running into this environment to fight, it would be confusing.
Yeah, but the problem is that for most of the characters, this is their one real big fight scene. Like Harley has a few of them, but for a lot of the characters, this is their big moment. This is the big moment where everyone's together, and I thought it was kind of weak sauce. I thought the one in the jail cell was much better. And
jail cell was definitely better. That was a highlight for sure. But I really like this one as well, personally.
It was a little bit too busy for me, but I feel that was the intent. It's supposed to feel overwhelming, because I caught myself checking what was going on in the background to see if it cut, and it did. Like when I thought, well, what's going on there? When it caught my eye, it cut over to what they were doing in the background.
I think the other thing it suffers from is just kind of like the comic book movie 101 thing of like, oh, there has to be a bunch of like, you know, henchmen to fight, you know, for the big fight at the end that mean nothing. They're just there because we have to have a big scene where the team fights. Like, it's kind of like when the one critique you can have of all those Avengers movies, that the end of every single one, somehow there's an army of things to fight, so that everyone's got people to fight.
But I mean, that's also kind of comic books too.
Oh, it is, absolutely
is.
That's
a trope within the genre.
Yeah.
So,
but
Pete, they weren't fighting towards a blue light, so you should be happy.
Oh no, I'll give them that. There's no giant blue light in the sky. It's not the world's at stake.
It's very grounded in that context.
But the funny thing is, though, is I almost has the problem in the opposite end, where it feels too small in some ways. Not in terms of stakes, but in terms of the core like arc and emotional story. When we get to the end of the story, and I mean, I don't guess I spoiled to say the villain is defeated. Obviously, we'll talk about how and so on, and spoilers. But when that happened, I went, "Oh, that was it. Okay." I guess it's done. I felt like there needed to be more of an actual arc. I mean, again, it's Harley's the protagonist. She's the main character. There's no doubt that that's the case. Like, I felt like she needed more of an arc. We needed more of like a thing at the end where it felt like she'd actually gone through a change. And I didn't really feel that at the end. I felt like...
I mean, we'll talk about it more in spoilers, but I feel like there was a pretty solid arc for Harley in this movie.
I felt like there was a lot of build-up, and then I felt very underwhelmed with the ending. And again, not because I wanted the action to be bigger, I just wanted it to mean more. I wanted it to have more weight behind it. And maybe that was just a mistake looking for that in a movie with this tone, but it left me left me wanting.
You know, I say, Harley goes through an arc for sure. The ending of the fight is not the conclusion of that arc. That's not the big cathartic moment. It's actually a little bit before and a little bit after that has the big moments.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about the moment that comes after. I think that's underwhelming as well.
I mean, I disagree on that. We'll talk about it in spoilers.
Yeah, I think it's very underwhelming. And it's Joe. The sad part is I hate coming into this with such a sort of negative bent. I mean, certainly more negative than you two are, because all I'm seeing on Twitter is people who love this movie and are praising it and they want more. And I feel like I'm being such a grumpy old man.
But you know what? After what I got with what we've gotten from DC, Aquaman was a mess, but it was to me a fun mess, and Shazam was straight up fun. So as long as they keep heading towards this direction, it makes me want to see them. Whereas before those other two, like Wonder Woman's fine, but the other ones, it made me not want to go see them. So if we can I'm fine if this is the direction with this group of characters. Now I don't want them all to copy this. Just like I don't want, it's very Deadpool.
You want
right?
variety, right? In what the movies are. You don't want them all to be. Like when we came off Nolan's trilogy and they were like, they all need to be dark and gritty. And it's like, no. Some of them can be dark and gritty.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them can be this.
Which actually I think neatly leads into the next point I think I want to make, is that I think the R rating for this was completely unnecessary, and I felt them adding F-bombs to every other sentence just to make it feel like it was more mature, and it really started to annoy me after like 10 minutes.
I think
I get that.
It's, in terms of the violence stuff,
I enjoyed the violence, and there's a couple of good violent moments, which would maybe get the R rating anyway. But so this is the thing: there's a lot of F bombs in this movie, and so many of them felt forced. It was like in the middle of a lot of sentences, like the villains especially were just spouting F bombs, and it just felt like, we want to be edgy and gritty, and we want to have the mature. We're an R rating movie, so we're going to prove it, damn it.
Yeah.
And there's only one F bomb in the whole movie that I really liked, and it was really funny. But the funny thing is that in a PG-13, you can have your one F bomb, and it might have even been funnier if there hadn't been like 100 F bombs before that line.
Yeah, it's a lot like Deadpool, where I expect Deadpool at this point to have language like this, whereas Harley, I'm so used to her not, because I read her in comics and whatnot. I don't read Deadpool, so
Yeah. Well, and
I'm not as familiar.
It's been very clear that DC kind of want Harley to be their Deadpool for a while now.
Yeah, I think this is more restrained than a Deadpool movie in the context of, I think Chandler really breaks the fourth wall like once maybe, other than the actual narration, but that's not the same. That's narration. You see that in all sorts of movies, so it's a bit different. I think the swearing, it definitely goes overboard with that. I didn't really need much of it. I think, like I said, I think the violence probably would have given it the R rating anyway. And once they're at that point, they just went, screw it, might as well.
Just do it.
It just took me out of it. I started to just really feel it and notice it, and it really started, and this is something where I think this is more of an objective complaint, because a lot of my complaints were it's not Birds of Prey, this isn't Cassandra Cain. I mean, I think there's valid complaints there, especially with Cassandra Cain, of like it not being the thing that it's claiming to be. I think that's valid,
Right.
To a point, and then there's a point where I'm being more, I guess vindictive because I'm just mad that it's not what I want it to be. But I think these other things that I'm bringing up now are things that I just think are just a problem in general. Like if this wasn't a DC movie, if these weren't these characters, this swearing would still bother me because it just feels so tacked on to try and feel like it's more mature or whatever. So
I think just on the context of if this wasn't a DC movie, I would have still had a lot of fun. I think that's worth noting. Like I thought this was a blast to watch.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. I don't think I would, because I think my main, even though I've got a lot of things that I'm annoyed about because I'm a DC fan and I'm annoyed that they're using things for other reasons that I don't like. The core thing I don't like about it is just I don't like this version of Harley. I don't like her humor, and I don't think most of this movie's funny. And it's worth mentioning, not that there was a lot of people there, admittedly, but there wasn't really a whole lot of laughter in my theater when I saw this. There was really only one or two moments towards the end that got a big laugh. It was a very kind of somber experience throughout.
It's opposite of mine. My theater, while it wasn't packed, there was quite a few people. They thought many sequences were funny. I mean, the whole sandwich gag, that got a big laugh.
Yeah, I did in mine too. And every time it came back up. Yeah.
Nah. There's one particular moment in the third act that got a big laugh, but that was pretty much it. I think this is how it tastes. I think the problem is that it's more of a comedy than it's anything else, right? That's what it's kind of trying to be.
It's an action comedy,
right? And I think with that kind of story, like comedy is so subjective, and I don't like this type of humor. I don't like this type of Harley Quinn. All the Harley Quinn stories I like tend to be darker. It tends to be a bit more of a psychological tragedy or something like that.
You're insisting on the grim and gritty.
Yeah, but actual grim and gritty, not this swear a bunch of times to make it feel more grim.
That's not grim and gritty. That's just edgy.
Yeah, there's a difference.
And here's the thing, this is the thing, we talk about including all these extra characters because you want to give them the spotlight and have people go and check them out. It is R-rated, so it's kind of almost going against that message where you're wanting to introduce people to these characters, but you're also kind of locking out the younger demographic.
Yeah, no, they're not introducing it to the kids. They're absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are, I'm sure, plenty of adults who see comic book films and go, "Oh, maybe I'll check out some comics." It's not just kids that do. While I've obviously been a vocal proponent of having comic movies for kids and getting them into it, and we would talk about that on the main comic book show a lot. But in this particular instance, I mean, sure, Matt said his friend likes Black Canary now, and that was new to them, so that's a good thing.
Right. And like my wife, who had watched, she had suffered through the first couple seasons of Arrow with me. She was excited to see, not excited, that's the wrong word. She was curious as to Canary about, because she was familiar with Black Canary from Arrow, right? What's this version all about? And where's her little devices that do the sonic thing? And I told her, just wait. And we get that moment at the end, and so
Matt.
That was in the trailers.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly say what it was either.
I didn't see that in the trailers because I was actually thinking halfway through that they weren't going to give her powers.
No, it was in the second trailer.
And I actually, I'm going to critique that actually a little bit because for a bit I thought they weren't going to give her powers, and that annoyed me because even though there's been periods in the comics when she's not had her powers, it felt like, well, Arrow did this as well, but they didn't give her powers at first, and it was kind of weird. And so, to be fair, yes, it's in the trailer. She does have her canary cry. She does scream out at one point. It kind of bugged me that they saved it for this big moment when I'm like, this could have made all the fight scenes before this far more interesting.
Just to give it context here, it completely takes it out of her. She's not used to doing that. It's so She obviously couldn't have done it all
Yeah,
the
I
time.
guess. Because I was thinking, because I was talking about how boring that fight is at the end, and all I could think during that fight is like, hey, what you are like Sky in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when she uses her quake powers to sort of help in combat. I was like, oh man, like she could be doing all this extra fun shit, and all it was a bunch of people punching and kicking, and I'm like, okay, like can we can we do something else?
Yeah, but
and crossbowing, to be fair.
A lot of crossbowing. Yeah, but to be fair too, is the way that I saw it is she couldn't unleash it in that area, right? It had to be in an open space. So,
and also, to be fair, it's still kind of a spoiler that comes towards the end, right? That could have been halfway through the movie for all anyone seen the trailers knew.
Whatever. It's fine. I don't think you're going to get too many complaints about that.
Okay, alright. I'd be annoyed if I was watching this and I hadn't seen the movie.
Why would you be watching this before you go see the movie?
It's a spoiler-free section.
It's a spoiler-free section. If anyone's angry at that, blame Matt. It was his fault.
Tons of people watch our spoiler-free sections before they see the movies.
Alright, well... Cool, I don't...
Why do you think we have a spoiler-free section?
Because the way that you have things segmented... Just
never had chick better. It's just Pete's weird brain.
Exactly. I just go along with it.
Half the point of reviews is to try to see if it's worth going to see, and that's the point of the spoiler-free section. Say, hey, it's worth going to see. Recommend it or don't recommend it or whatever. I mean, eventually it's not a particularly big spoiler, but still,
no. So I was like, oh yeah, she does it, and then it takes that over and she dies. Then I get mad, like fine. Spoilers for Gladiator. I remember accidentally spoiling that for somebody because that was my go-to joke. So and so dies at the end, and then a friend pulled me aside and goes, "Dude, what'd you do?" Just ruined the end. I was like, "Oh crap, I did." So.
Oh bloody hell! Anyway, I mean, yeah, I didn't like the movie that much. I think it's fine. Like, I think it's an okay movie. I don't think it's like a bad movie like like Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad. I mean, I think honestly, objectively looking at this in Aquaman, I think this is better than Aquaman from just an objective standpoint. But I don't really particularly want to watch this again. I don't want to watch Aquaman again. I'm kind of frustrated that DC's movies, like, they've managed to achieve mediocrity in my eyes, and they're not really reaching for much more than that. Even though I did like Shazam more, I did, but like, yeah,
Shazam's one I want to watch. I need to catch up with the rest of the 2019 movies. I need to clear off my list before I rewatch it. But I definitely, like, once the price of the Blu-ray comes down, I'm gonna pick it up because I don't collect Blu-rays as much anymore because after moving twice, they're well paid. So, but there are, like, I have all the Marvel movies, I have all the Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
This is the thing. I am intentionally not seeing what a 4K Blu-ray looks like because much like how 1080p Blu-ray is much better than streaming 1080p, if I see 4K Blu-ray, I'll want that. So I'm intentionally never looking at it.
I get you.
I already did. It was a mistake.
Because it's better than 4K streaming now.
It's so much better.
Of course it is.
And 4K streams already looks, significantly better than 1080p streaming.
Yeah, I've heard that 4K streaming is kind of like a bit better than 1080p Blu-ray. It's kind of where you sort of benchmark it.
Yeah, I think if it's got HDR with it, then it's a significant step above 1080p Blu-ray. If it's not, then it's just a little bit better. But
it's not anywhere near as good as 4K Bluray.
Oh no, that stuff's nice.
It's just a way of thing. So I'm intentionally not looking at it so that I'll never feel like I'm missing it. No,
I get it. But once the price on like Shazam comes up down, I plan on picking that up. I'll probably pick this up once the price comes down, because I don't buy movies first day like I used to.
Expensive,
because I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it costs a fortune, and 4K Blu-rays are pricey as well for the record.
They are, yeah.
I mean, I just pick up whatever has the digital copy, so I can throw it into iTunes and watch it at will. It's fine.
So you know what? I don't want to be I mean, I know I've sat here and kind of like shat on it, and I'm going to continue to do that when we get to spoilers, but I don't want to like dampen anyone's enthusiasm though, because like I feel like people are latching onto this movie in the same way they kind of latched onto Wonder Woman because there's a genuine excitement around having an ensemble female superhero movie, and I think there's people latching onto like the parts they do like, because like it means a lot to them and they want it to be great, and it's good enough that it's kind of like fulfilling that role, and any of the problems are kind of being glossed over. And I don't really want to point them out as to be a dick and kind of makes anyone not like it. Love it. No. Go and love it. For me, like, its problems as a movie that I don't think quite clicks together. My taste in humor isn't quite there, and then on top of that, it has the things that like I would rather a proper Birds of Prey story. I would rather a Cassandra Cain that's actually Cassandra Cain. Because there's a moment, I know this is a spoiler to say, there's a moment in the big fight towards the end where they're all kind of protecting her, and like they're sort of like taking turns standing in front of her, and all I could think was, no, she should be protecting you. She's a better fighter than anyone in this room, you mother effers. What the hell are you doing? Like,
yeah, I'd explain Cassandra Cain to my wife and my friend, and they go, oh, that would have been cool to have. I go, I know, right?
Yeah,
and like,
don't get me wrong, this is not Cassandra Cain, but I was kind of over it after like 5 minutes. I was like, all right, sure, it's just not Cassandra Cain, whatever.
I know, it was bugging me the whole movie. And not only that, like, Cassandra Cain is supposed to be silent, almost, like, because she didn't learn to speak before she learned to fight. Like, martial arts is her first language. That's kind of her thing. And she speaks in sort of short sentences, she can do basic sort of statements, that kind of thing. And that's kind of part of her charm. She has this kind of very endearing quality of, like, someone who's just learning all these other parts of humanity for the first time because she's been kind of held back by the way she was raised. And she never shuts up in this movie. She's just such a kid. Like
it was very much the kid from Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Like, it felt the same. Although I felt that kid's comedic timing is far more, than this girl, but it's a different role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the same. But I get where you're coming from with that comparison.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could tell me you got over it all you want, but I never did. I never got over it.
I just think, it's hard to be that bitter about it. Like, would I have liked a proper Cassandra Cain? Sure. Yeah. When it became very clear that they weren't even trying, they weren't trying, they just used the name, I went, okay, it's just not Cassandra Cain, whatever.
Yeah, but to me, this is just like having Galactus be a cloud in Fantastic Four 2. Like, it's the same level of like, oh, well, let's just do this because
and
screw
honestly,
comics.
If that movie was good, I wouldn't care as much.
Yeah,
but it's a bad movie. This movie is a very good movie, so I can get over these things.
I disagree. I don't think it is a very good movie.
I think
this is probably my favorite of the modern DC movies. This is the most fun I've had with any of them.
That's not an easy. I mean, that's not a hard feat, though, Connor.
No. It's basically like this, Shazam, and Wonder Woman.
Right.
I'll take. This is probably my favorite of those.
Out of those three, it's third place. Pretty easily for me.
I think I like this more than Wonder Woman, just because Wonder Woman goes into tried and true to me. Like by the end, it's kind of boring. Like there's that trench scene.
Third act,
the third act's not that great, but everything there's a lot of great stuff before that third act.
Yeah.
That felt kind of special.
There's a lot of great stuff throughout this entire movie, though. Personally, like I was constantly having fun. I was laughing a lot. It was because again, like coming into this, I'm a fan of this Harley Quinn. I've read that entire run. I like this take on it. So I found this quite funny and charming in that regard. So I was coming in from that side of it.
And I think Margot Robbie is really good in that Harley. Like, her whole explanation of her origin. I am only really familiar with her from Harleen, right, from the Cedric book, and then from the animated series. So it was that part of her origin there about the orphanage and stuff, Connor.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't recall seeing it very much. But I've not read.
I mean, I guess ultimately this kind of comes down to like obviously we talked about how DC kind of want her to be their Deadpool. This kind of feels very similar to those Deadpool movies to me, where like it's fine, but I just don't connect with it or think it's that funny. So I'm just kind of lukewarm on it, like entirely. So it's to me they kind of fill a very similar space. Forget any of my other problems. It just feels like it fills that same category.
It might be my DC bias showing, but I enjoyed this more than either of the two Deadpool films. So
honestly, my biggest disappointment outside of like Cassandra Cain is that they introduced the beaver, and I got really excited because that is it. That's her beaver from that Harley Quinn series, and we didn't see it. Like it's an imaginary beaver thing that she is convinced it's just a stuffed beaver. She's convinced it's alive. It's talking to her, and she responds to it a couple of times. but there was no point where we saw it talk to her, and it got really weird, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. I just thought it was a stuffed beaver.
Yeah. There's a couple of times where she acts like it's a real thing, and it's talking to her. But in the comic, that's just her, that's just her imaginary beaver friend.
I will say that her hyena, I thought I was going to hate that based off the trailers, and it worked for me. Brucey. So that was
named after that handsome rich man on TV.
Yep, which I like that.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, I want to get to spoilers because most of my thoughts come
I was just going to kick that into gear. So I think we'll move out of the spoiler section now. So I'll just take this time to thank our patron producers for the month. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. They're all patrons at the $20 tier or above. That's why they are patron producers. But you can be a patron for as little as $1 per month and get bonuses. You get bonus episodes of Screams After Midnight and the Atomic Cinema Experiment, our movie podcasts, as well as outtakes and stuff like that. $5 tier, you get voting rights and early access to certain stuff. So go and have a look and see if you want to support all the content we make and keep it all coming. But yeah. Full spoilers for Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, or whatever this thing's called. So I'm basically let you two go to town because I feel like I'm just going to be a grouch at this point. Well, and Connor has a weird way of saying everything to make me look like a bad guy, so I'm just going to opt out.
I don't need to try. You do that to yourself.
No, you do. You really do. You turn everything into me being against people discovering comic books or me being against, certain types of things. And that's not how it's supposed to come out at all. And I just can't be bothered fighting with it today. So just go.
So I want to, we talked about Cassandra Cain. I was disappointed in Zaz because, I feel like we get half Zaz here.
It's mostly Zaz. Like he's got the scars. He's sadistic and he's a killer.
But is Zaz
I want
usually
to see him mark himself?
Yeah, is Zaz? Get that. Yeah, there's some face peeling off towards the start. That's kind of gruesome, but Is Zaz ever been Black Mask's little bitch before? Is that been a thing?
No, but I didn't mind that for the movie though, because again, this is the cinematic version. Him working for one of the Gotham
crime lords. I'm pretty sure I've read stories with them working together, not so much being his bitch.
I wasn't complaining. I was just asking because I don't recall.
No, it feels familiar, like I've seen them working together before.
Yeah.
I feel like Zaz in my head though is usually bald. Is that just a comic book thing?
Yeah. He usually is in the comics.
Yeah,
he's bald, but they opted. I'm sure the actor didn't want to shave his head. Which
it's not a deal breaker, though, is it? Was Zaz the key thing? Is the scars, right?
Sure, but it took me a second to realize it was him because I was expecting a bald dude,
Right. So, and so when we get to see the scars and they're not the tally marks, they're just full on him cutting himself scars. I was like, okay, cool. But after he killed somebody, I wanted to see him mark himself.
The new ones, yeah.
Yeah, and because I even got his reason for doing it about how he's saving people in his brain. He's sending them up to heaven because this world's too wicked. And I was like, wow, I can't believe they actually went there. They just didn't make him a sadistic killer. And that actor, Chris Messina, I only know him from comedy roles, right? He was on Mindy Project and whatnot. So to see him dust off the creep.
I only know him from Sharp Objects, where he was a detective, and it's not a comedy at all, so very different.
Closer to this, really.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I was a little annoyed by that, just because you want to see I like Zaz as a Batman villain.
It's disappointing, isn't it, that you're not seeing that?
It didn't break that character because I felt like that character played the role that he needed to as Black Mask's henchman. And on the opposite side of that, Pete might press back against this based off of what he said earlier, but I really loved Ewan as Black Mask.
So in for it.
His Roman, Roman Sionis isn't a character I'm not familiar with, but what I am familiar with, I felt that they got more or less here.
Smug rich guy with an obsession with masks, and loves showing that off. That kind of came through.
And he's a sadist, right? He wants to sit and watch Zaz go to work and whatnot. And he was definitely not understated. And I don't know if overstated is the right term either, but he is very over the top, almost campy, but it works. It's the fact, so the story on him in this movie is that his family owned a lot of the buildings in Gotham. their names are on them, and so you see a lot of them. You know, the Janus Initiative, the company that owns them.
Yeah, which is also it's its own little joke because Janus is
multi-faced
god with two faces. Yeah,
right, and whatnot, and so, but a lot of it's graffitied out the J, so it just says like Anus Initiative, whatever it is.
Classic.
Right, which then made me think about what type of rich people these are, and they're not like the Bruce Wayne, let's have a bunch of charities and help people. These are the ones like, yep, just slap our name on it. We're not going to take care of it. They're almost slumlord rich.
Yeah, and then there's the idea that he kind of got ostracized from his family, right, and is just trying to prove himself. He's got daddy issues. Yeah, that kind of worked for me.
Yeah. So like, of course, that's who this guy is going to be, right? He dresses in the gaudy suits. He wears sunglasses inside. He's a narcissist that just loves himself.
He's always in his own strip club.
Right, exactly. So I thought he did really good. I had to keep reminding myself, like, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because I kept losing that in there. I'm like, oh, no, that's just Sionis. And I like how they didn't bust out the black mask until the end. Right, but we see his infatuation with masks around his home
throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that he puts it on when he really needs, I thought really, really well handled. But yeah, I thought he was a lot of fun in this.
I don't think he was intimidating enough. I mean, mainly because, like, I felt like they sold this big moment where he puts on the mask, like, oh, he's reached this breaking point where he's putting on the mask to, like, go be, the Black Mask. He's reached that point. And I don't know if I really felt, like, scared of him or anything. Not like literally scared, but just in the context of the build up to that moment, I didn't feel like they earned, like, his snapping, right? Now, admittedly,
I'll tell you why just that specific thing kind of works for me in context of this movie is Harley's not really scared of him.
No.
Well, yeah, but that's a fair point. But the problem that I have with that is that I just felt no threat from the villains at all this movie. Like, I didn't necessarily feel any stakes in anything. It made the story feel just kind of throwaway to me.
I was worried about Canary once she's made Sionis' driver, just because we've seen the bad stuff that has happened to Roman's drivers throughout.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Right. So I was worried about her. Although knowing she's one of the titular characters,
yeah, obviously
there were times
it's kind of her and then Cassandra, being the innocent one that we need to protect her. That as much as Harley's not scared of him, she's scared of what he would do to Cassandra.
Because this is the thing: right. if you actually make him more scary and make me scared for what may happen to some of these other characters, and maybe if Cassandra wasn't named Cassandra, not just because I don't like what they've done, that it's Cassandra Cain, but let's say she was just some random name. I might actually buy that she could die. I might actually buy there's like some threat there. But Ewan McGregor, I'm not like a huge fan of Ewan McGregor anyway, especially when he's doing an American accent, because I can hear his accent slipping up like constantly.
Yeah.
I can hear it slipping up every so often, because even when every time he does an American accent, it's not even that Scottish slips through. It's almost like his English accent that he does kind of like slips in towards the end of some of his sentences.
It's like he does his American accent via his English one.
Yeah. It's weird, and that kind of, and I don't know if it's because there's a certain voice in my head I have for Black Mask that's like this gruff.
It could be
thing. But that took me out of it a little bit. But I don't know. My bigger problem with the villains is just that I never really. I don't know, like, they give me all these reasons to think, okay, they're cutting off people's faces, they're super sadistic, they're super whatever, but I almost felt like the tone needed to shift more when we cut to them, so that it became like almost like a different movie where they are intimidating and scary, and that would almost make them feel more dangerous when they interact with the other characters, but because they're in this bubblier, lighthearted, jokey movie, it would make them feel even more of a dangerous presence within that. There
are some scenes where I felt like danger, like when Canary's going off to go and meet them, and it's after he's been really uncomfortable in the club. He thinks the woman's laughing at him, and she just tries to slip out, and he's like, "Where do you think you're going?" and not having it, and it's at that point where you're like, I did feel like this guy could just snap.
I needed more of that. I needed more of him actually snapping, I think. I will say I did get a good chuckle out of Harley breaking the driver's legs at the start when she just jumps on his legs.
And then the repeated gag of that later with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like that was amusing. I did enjoy the cartoony violence. Like, there's not a lot of cartoony Harley that I like, but I did like the cartoony violence.
The scene in the prison where she takes the bat to the dude's legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it was cartoony, but it made me cringe in like
in a good way.
Yeah, like you cringe at a car crash. Where you're just like, that's not good.
Yeah, that was fine. I mean, I do think Harley's fighting skills are like bizarrely, absurdly great in this movie, and I don't know when she learned to do this exactly, but I mean, whatever. The one moment that stuck out to me when I was joking that she's better than Captain America, there's a moment in slow motion where she kind of bounces the bat off the floor and it hits the guy and then bounces back at her.
Into her hand,
And I thought, okay, this is like Captain America level bullshit with the shield. Like, what the hell? Like, why is she doing this now?
I'm not gonna say I tried it, but it doesn't work.
Yes. Matt hit himself in the balls with a baseball bat, I think.
Better than the head.
Better than the head.
We've praised like the Harley stuff or disliked it if you're people, but not because it's necessarily bad. Just it's not Pete's thing.
I thought Margot Robbie was great though. I thought she's a terrific actress.
She's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing.
Right.
And it's better for
her. I don't know. Her voice for Harley, it's supposed to be a little bit annoying, right? Like it's that kind of New York, New Jersey,
Yeah, it's got that New Jersey twang. That's just a bit irritating.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's definitely a lighter twang though, because it's nothing compared to what like TV show Harley was. Like
no, it's toned down from that.
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, Huntress stole the movie. Every moment with her is
it's the crossbow killer.
The crossbow killer. My theater was laughing at that a lot every time.
Honestly, I think most of it was funny. But there was one moment where it paid off and it was funny because the first time where it introduces that she keeps trying to say my name is Hut and someone will say you're the crossbow killer or whatever, right? That wasn't really making me laugh. The one time it was really funny though was when they all meet together for the first time, at the start of the third act, and she goes, they call me Hut, and then Montoya just shouts out, "You're Helena Bertinelli," and she just goes, "Oh, for F's sake!" And that made me laugh because one, it had been set up that she's annoyed that this keeps happening, and two, because unlike every other time it's happened when it was the crossbow killer, it was a real name, so it had this extra layer to it that made it a really funny joke to me. But I mean, undoubtedly, I liked Huntress and Canary far more than I did Harley in this.
I mean, we'll get to Canary. I love her as well, but Meredith Winstead was having so much fun, right? She was just playing it up, and it was campy in a way, but she was just like, "Screw it, this is fun." And
can I complain about something that I said in the trailers, and I was told to back off for it because it'll be fine by the end of the movie, and it only got worse. The costumes, especially Huntress, her costume, see at the end when she's actually a part of the Birds of Prey, right? When she has a mask. That outfit she's wearing is even worse than everything else she's been wearing the entire movie. It's like it's got the layout of her costume from the comics, but it's just like it's almost just like painted onto like a regular like I don't know shiny shirt. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it looks so cheap and tacky. It was garbage.
I understood what they were going for with the cross, right? Costume that she's worn before. But yeah, it wasn't. Did Huntress ever show up on Arrow?
Huntress did back in season
very early on,
1 or 2.
Season 1 or 2.
Yeah. She wasn't that good. Remember. She wasn't good at it.
She was still just in the rage bit of the revenge. And, and of course, Arrow treated it like, oh my god, pure revenge. She's terrible.
She's not her outfit at the end. Kind of, it's not quite as bad because it's not the whole body, but that top she had on that kind of had the design of like her New 52 costume sort of painted on it. It reminded me a little bit. Remember that Wonder Woman pilot that never happened with Adrian Padalecki, that Wonder Woman costume? It reminded me of that because that was just like a skin tight like
Halloween costume.
Yeah, it was just this painted on costume to this like one fabric, and that's what it reminded me of.
No, that wasn't the best costume. I assume that if they were going to get another movie, I mean, in terms of the box office, it's not looking particularly likely. But if for whatever reason they decide, no, we're going to give them a chance of an actual Birds of Prey movie following on from this, I assume they'll give them proper costumes then, in context of we'll design them for that movie rather than just for one scene here.
I feel like there's a few reasons why this didn't do that well, right? I think one, being connected to Suicide Squad, even if you're in the know, like for the average public, a lot of people saw Suicide Squad and it was terrible, so a lot of people don't want any more of it, right? And this film, because it's Margot Robbie as Harley, connects to that. I think number two, the title's terrible, and long, and I get why they're going for this joke, but I think it actually hurts the
it's
movie.
One of those things where the title's really long on the posters, and we've called it that every time. But if you look at like on the movie theater, on the tickets, on even like the official like soundtracks and merchandise, it does just say Birds of Prey.
Here's the sad part is though that if they called it Harley Quinn, it'd have done better.
Probably, yeah.
I think a Birds of Prey movie can do well, but I think that the marketing would have to match it and market all the three characters or the four characters, whoever it is, and sell them to the audience. The trailers for this didn't really do that. The trailers for this said, "Here's a Harley Quinn movie," and because the first trailer barely even had any lines of dialogue for anyone who wasn't Harley, you know. And the posters were these big, bright, colourful, kind of tacky-looking things. I think the marketing for this movie, regardless of how I feel about the finished movie, there's no reason why this couldn't. Given that Suicide Squad did really well, Joker cracked $1 billion, which is insane, and I don't think those are good movies. There is no reason why this can also have done well. And I feel like the reason why it didn't is mainly down to marketing. But
I think it's a weird thing with the marketing. That like I agree that maybe calling it Birds of Prey was a bad thing, but you mentioned that first trailer barely had any lines for anyone else because it was like, hey, look, it's a Harley Quinn movie, and that's representative of the final product.
I mean, it is, but again, then you come to the problem where that makes people think of Suicide Squad because it's the actress from that playing the same character and so on. Because let's be honest here, we say this all the time when it comes to TV ratings and sometimes with movies when the sequels do worse, is that it's not the quality of the one that comes out that's the problem, it's the quality of the last one that's the problem. Because the last one was bad, this one will underperform. It doesn't matter how good that is, you know. Like,
there's a chance that this will do okay over its life. It might, have a bad opening, but word of mouth is generally quite positive.
Yeah, it's just not getting a lot of heat. You know, it tends to people seem to be positive. I'm definitely seeing a lot of positivity from
the people that are bending over backwards to deny it are cracking me up. Just I knew it was gonna fail. This is what happened.
Oh yeah,
blah blah blah.
There's
and I'm just like.
There's the usual brigade of it's a film with women and all the main characters are weak, therefore it's going to fail because no one wants that. Blah 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 blah. My penis is tiny, kind of thing. Like these guys. Like we're always going to have that. And the problem that unfortunately still isn't really good, even though we've had Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, which both did really well. There's still this kind of mentality that because one movie with female leads in a superhero context fails, all of a sudden, like, I guess Wonder Woman 84 is going to bomb now, or I guess Black Widow's going to bomb.
I think I'd expect both of those to do pretty well. To be honest with you,
especially I think Wonder Woman 84 could kind of go either way, just because
it's one of those things we talk about. It's based on what the last movie was, and people were pretty positive on that first Wonder Woman movie.
They were,
but then that's not the last time we saw her, though. The last time we saw her was Justice League.
No, that is true. But I do wonder how maybe that will have an impact. I don't know.
It may not. I mean, that's why I'm saying I think that one's maybe a bit more debatable. I think Black Widow, I don't think it's going to break records, but I think it's at least going to do solid
It'll do whatever at the worst whatever Ant-Man does.
I think it'll gross Ant-Man. I think it will.
Lower tier Marvel. Right,
which is still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money.
Also, it's not going to be setting records for them, but it'll be fine. No,
but here's my thing though: we wouldn't have so many female-focused superhero movies if there wasn't a market for them, right? Like, there's gonna be 2 this year.
Oh, there absolutely is. Two this year. There's more coming from Marvel coming years.
Add in the Mulan remake, which, while not a superhero movie, is definitely a female-focused action movie that looks way better than the cartoon.
It looks like it's going full wuxia, and I'm in for it.
It's easily the most justified remake Disney have done of their animated stuff because it actually looks like it belongs in live action.
So there's definitely the market for it. It's just like Pete brought up with the marketing. You got to roll it out properly. And it felt like I forgot this was coming out till about Wednesday. And I looked at my wife and go, when we seen the Harley Quinn movie? She goes, I don't know. And then we settled on Friday, right? So it wasn't like we were eagerly anticipating it.
Yeah, it's frustrating because in an ideal world there'd be an equal number of male and female focused superhero movies, right? Of course there would be. And unfortunately we're in this place where they constantly kind of have to prove their existence to a lot of people for some reason, and it's really frustrating.
Even though, recently speaking, they perform fairly well. Even this, we're saying, it's underperformed. It's not bombing. It's not doing terribly. It just underperformed on its opening weekend.
Yeah, the sad part is those underperformed the conservative estimates, never mind the actual original estimates. So it's
it's not bad enough to be like, oh, this is atrocious. It's just okay. It's not going to do amazingly.
Yeah, and the early buzz for the international numbers aren't that hot either. It's just looking going to be like it's going to be very muted overall.
80-85 I was seeing for the opening weekend international.
Yeah, it's hitting about 81 right now because I just pulled it up on box office.
Which means that there's a good chance that it won't break 300 total, unless the legs are particularly good.
That's what I mean, though. That I think the legs might be better on this than on. I'm trying to think of a better example. Nothing's good to mind, but the legs might. Honestly, a pretty good example would be Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that obviously that still did very well, but it had such a huge opening, right? And it underperformed by the end, really. Right. Even though it still it crossed the billion, it still did stupidly well, but it underperformed in that context because word of mouth. I think it was a bit more mixed and divisive. Whereas this Rotten Tomatoes, I think, is sitting around 80. Audience was at like 84 or something like that.
Reviews have been positive.
Twitter, like Pete mentioned earlier, all he's seen on Twitter is positive buzz, and the only negative things you're really seeing are from that certain group of dicks. Generally speaking, people are enjoying the movie, and that might translate to likes.
It's so frustrating for me because I don't really like the movie that much, but I kind of wanted to see it succeed just on the basis of shutting those idiots up, because
me too.
I don't want them to win, because it's not everything they're taking from this. And the problem I have as well is the worry that the studio are going to take all the wrong lessons from it, right? You don't want them to take any of the lessons. And I do feel like the R rating was forced. I don't think it was needed, and nothing in the movie really justifies it for me. We'd have to tone back a couple of the violent moments, which, don't get me wrong, I love a good bit of gore. I do. And the way that Black Mass dies at the end made me laugh, because it was him just blowing apart from a grenade.
Pete, she slave bladed him off a pier with a bomb. Yeah.
So was fun. Yeah, my other Cassandra Cain complaints. Actually, I want to just sort of come back to her for just one statement. Aside from her characteristics being nothing like her actual character, I kind of hate that she's just a MacGuffin in this, because she literally is just a MacGuffin for the plot.
I was kind of hoping she'd have the diamond with her the whole time and only said she swallowed it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the funny thing. At some point,
she'd pull it out and go, oh, here it is.
You could argue that the diamond's the MacGuffin and she's just the carrier, but she literally eats it, so she becomes the MacGuffin. She literally becomes the MacGuffin.
I think it helps, though, that as MacGuffin characters go, she's likable enough. I think she plays off of Harley quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I like the scene where they're in Harley's apartment, and and she's impressed by it, and Harley, is like, I know it's not much, and There's chemistry between them.
Yeah, they go and set up too. Like, she's in foster care, and she's an orphan, which I thought, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're kind of doing the kiss. Maybe we'll find something out later, and we never do, right?
I wonder. So there's only one small reference to Suicide Squad outside of just the general, she was with the Joker before, and it's the Captain Boomerang wanted poster in the precinct, right? That was chuckle worthy. I sort of made me go I wonder if the reason why they were allowed to do that when they're not referencing anything else is just because he's the one of the few cast members who's actually coming back for the next Suicide Squad movie. That's probably the case. That's probably the case. So the whole plot, I mean, we didn't really mention it. So basically, they're after this diamond, the Bartonelli diamond, because it has codeine in it that will lead to their fortune, and
it's got their account number and sort code.
Yeah, movie nonsense. But they find it, but Cassandra Cain's a pickpocket in this movie. She's a little pickpocket menace, and she ends up with it. Black Canary kind of knows her because she lives in the same building as her, and she's also been kind of forced into being the new driver for Black Mask. Harley gets wrapped up in this because now that word is out she's not with the Joker, everyone wants to kill her for how much of a pain she's been, because now the Joker won't retaliate for her.
There's no protection on her now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the movie's arc is kind of getting at, is that it's about her becoming independent and not needing to rely on someone, and that part's fine. I think. Mm-hmm. I think we're
actually. I want to just correct just slightly. I don't think it's that she doesn't have to rely on anyone. It's that she's not relying on someone without her own agency, because she learns to rely on Cassandra. Like, for example, there is a point where she's going to turn her in But then by the end of the movie, it's like, do you know what? That was the wrong thing to do. She's learned.
Sure.
Right.
I think it just needs a bit more heart for me for like her wanting to save Cassandra at the end to really sort of work and pay off. Because I felt like the whole standoff where Roman's got Cassandra by the throat with a knife, and she's like trying to talk him down, and then he just dies like within 20 seconds. Like I was expecting when they got, because there's a little car chase before that, I was expecting when they stopped that car chase, okay, we're gonna have one big final sort of section here where about getting to him and blah blah, and it ended up just being this little standoff in the pier that ended very quickly. And I mean, the actual death itself made me laugh, but I just it almost feels like the movie's just tiptoeing in the drama that I want it to explore. It's not interested in actually really going full hog with it, and that's frustrating for me, because like I think Harley has a lot of potential as a character to really explore, like her wanting to be independent, her wanting to go through these changes and all these things, but the movie almost wants to be too lighthearted to really give it the meat that I want it to do.
Yeah, it doesn't dive into it. I think there's a few moments that give me enough to just connect, with the characters. So when she kind of gets betrayed by the guy who runs the store below where she lives, and she thought she was like, oh no, he wouldn't sell her out, and then she obviously is like, right, oh, well, if he sold me out, then there is no faith in anyone anymore. So she goes to sell out Cassandra, and you have that moment in the phone box with the focus shifting shot, and I think that moment plays because she's even in that moment feeling guilty about it, but it's like, well, everyone else is doing it to me, and then she has to overcome that by the end, so that works there for me. But like I say, it definitely could go into it more. Yeah,
I think for me it really should have, but and people are going to say, yeah, but that means it's not as lighthearted and fun, and but it can still be like, I think Joe, I would just compare this movie to, bizarrely, I would compare this movie to Kick-Ass. And the Kick-Ass has this, sort of the sense of humor and the tone, right? I feel like it's kind of going for something kind of similar, but Kick-Ass also has great action sequences, and I think that keeps them throughout the whole movie. And amusingly, even has a badass girl who's like 11 who can take out an entire room of bad guys. That's more coincidental, but it just amuses me that I'm comparing them that has that. But in the sense that Kick-Ass has a lot of heart, and by the end of that story, I was really invested in like Hit Girl getting her revenge and like beating the bad guy. Like it made me really want to see them win. And at the end of this movie, I didn't really care if the Birds of Prey won. I was just kind of like, whatever. It's the end. It's we're in the action scene now at the end. It's just doing its thing. I never felt that invested by it. So and maybe part of that's just personal. But I do think if I was comparing those two movies, I think Kick-Ass is a much better crafted film. But
I mean, I would probably say Kick-Ass is better as well. But Kick-Ass is fantastic.
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
So I mean, I still really like this movie. I think I think it's a great movie.
Don't get me wrong. This is
better still.
This is better than Kick-Ass 2. I'll give you that. Like I'm not.
Yeah, we really would have started fighting if you tried to argue that one.
I'm not unreasonable. I'm not unreasonable. Oh dear. And Black Canary has a big moment where she comes out and there's all these henchmen. She has to blow them all back. So she uses her cry.
There's a little stuff with the backstory, like
her mom
knows her mum. So that was a thing. There was a previous Canary, so to speak.
Well, and I like too that they played with the Gotham City version of Black Canary, where she's kind of from the rougher side. She can handle herself. Followed in her mom's footsteps. I like that they made her a singer, because I always like that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, oh man, the actress, she can sing.
Yeah, she
can.
Sure.
That's what she's doing. It's a man's well in the club. That's a fantastic cover.
Yeah.
Huh?
And on the soundtrack, Connor.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I got out, I was like, all right, I need the uninterrupted version, please, without all the dialogue. Because obviously there's dialogue going on the scene. Of course there is. You would not just stop and watching this for 3 minutes, but I appreciate that the full version was on the soundtrack, because there are movies that don't do that, and it always annoys me.
Yeah. So, no, is there a plot that we didn't talk? I mean, there's sort of big jokes early on that we've not really talked about, like the entire 5-minute section devoted to this silly egg and cheese and bacon sandwich.
Yeah, I like that's her favorite thing in the world, and there's this one shop in Gotham that the guy makes it perfect, and she keeps trying to eat it and it ends up getting smashed.
And this is not a complaint, but it's one of those movie things where obviously, okay, she's not going to get to eat it. It ends up going on the floor. It's this big dramatic slow motion thing. And I said, okay, the movie's ending with her getting one of these sandwiches.
Of course.
The ending's going to have her eating one of these finally.
I think it's one of those things where it's just enough that it's relatable. It's a sandwich, right? Yeah, everyone's got their favorite thing like that. When you've got a bad day, you just want that thing, and it's just annoying when it's not going right for you.
If someone got in the way of me eating my breakfast burrito, I would murder. Like, that's it, done.
I believe it. I do actually believe it. As someone who hates egg, though, I mean, this wasn't.
That's the thing. Margot Robbie's allergic to chicken eggs. So these are actually duck eggs.
They're duck egg.
That's funny.
She was on hot. Go ahead, Pete.
Because I've been seeing people on Twitter like posting gifs from this scene and saying, "Oh, this sort of food porn should be banned." And all I can think was, this was not food porn. This was like a disgusting gore.
This is how I know you two have never been hungover. This is like an ultimate hangover sandwich where you just want something greasy and terrible, and you just get that in.
Connor, I don't need to be hungover to want that. That's my default setting, friend.
But this here, I can relate. So the egg, the bacon. Oh yes,
the American cheese that melts just right. Like, I get it. There's another thing that all this food talk just distracted me from. Dang it.
Sure. Yes.
I can't. Not coming back to you. No.
I mean, there's a little bit of like, Helena's backstory. You get the murder of her family. So there's a little bit of that. Black Canary, of course, isn't really seen, but we do hear about her mother, and obviously they never say the name Dinah Drake, but obviously that's what we were all thinking, being comic book nerds.
This is one of those things where, okay, it's there, it's established, it's in context, it's just there to give Renee a little bit of a relationship with her.
Yep.
But it's if they want to explore it in the future, they could have done, but it doesn't. It's not like anything that detracts from this or that you needed anything more either.
Oh yeah. I don't have complaints about. I mean, I don't even necessarily need them to go into the backstories more. I mean, I want those characters to have more time, but not because I want flashbacks and more backstory. It just, because there was a weird moment where they all meet up for the first time, because they've arranged this meeting for Harley to hand over Cassandra, and there's kind of the mildly amusing stuff where Harley's kind of paralyzed for a bit because she's been shot with a tranq and she can't really help. But this is where they all meet for the first time, and they're kind of getting to know each other. They're doing that thing where they're kind of yelling at each other and sort of realizing who each other are and blah blah blah. And in my head, there was a moment where I got disappointed because I realized, wait a minute, this is just getting to the third act already. Like, I was hoping that they'll meet in the middle and then they'll bond a little bit before the final act. And I'm like, oh no, this is just the third act already. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's true. I like that they had some bonding afterwards though, because we go back to that the bar wherever they were with the drinks early on in Harley's section at the start. She overhears her friends talking shit about her, and she storms off there. And now she brings out the drinks for them all, and it's like, oh no, she's actually got friends now, and it's the start of a friendship at least, but it's a healthier friendship. I think that's what I was getting at before, where I say, it's not Harley doing this on her own. It's about her having healthy relationships with other people.
And healthy is the key word there, because her relationship with Joker and all that was.
Even those friends, though, like they were just there because she's Harley Quinn, right?
Well, because she's friends with villains and supervillains.
Right, of course, yeah.
Well. So that's what I wanted to bring up was the animated portion where we get, the
intro.
relationship with the Joker, which I really enjoyed. And
Joe was funny. I actually thought while that was playing that they were actually just kind of putting Suicide Squad out of continuity. I thought, they're just doing a different version of it here. Fine.
Yeah, but then they do kind of mention, and then I spent some time working for, got arrested. No, I spent some time with a bomb.
Bombs on my neck.
Yeah. So they do kind of loosely reference it, but. That said, the way they sort of talk about her breaking up with the Joker doesn't sound like the ending is like, it sounds like a completely different Joker.
Yeah, it does, but again, it's one of those things where this is Harley telling this story, so she's telling the versions that she wants to tell.
But we all want to forget that Joker though, so I'm willing to go with it.
We're okay with it, yeah.
Exactly. And so, but no, there was a moment where she talks about all the different relationships that she had in college, and there's a red-haired woman. And I was like,
that looked a lot like Ivy, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And so yeah, I thought that was a fun little shout out here.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Because now that we know, she's on the upward swing where she's, chaotic neutral at this point.
Yeah,
We
I
can
think
see.
is Robbie's Harley going to be in the Suicide Squad movie again? I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
she
think
will.
so.
I don't think.
You think so?
Yeah,
Let me look.
there was that big
I'm
grid
just
of cast
assuming,
names,
but
but I don't remember if she
yeah.
was.
I don't know then. I wouldn't be surprised to see another Harley movie in some form. Just on Margot Robbie's sheer force of will and her paying for it herself if she has to.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't put it past her. Even if this movie does underperform a bit, I think she cares that much.
Yep, she is starring. She is the first name.
Is she?
I thought so. Yeah.
Oh, fair
yeah, she
enough.
is.
It was just like her and Will Smith, right?
No,
Yeah, well, this
no, Will
this is the
Smith's.
new one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Will Smith's not
It's
back.
Margot Robbie,
Yeah,
Viola
right.
Davis, and Joel Kinnaman. So they're all returning, and Jay Courtney.
And
The
then
rest of them are all new.
Yeah, Idris Elba, Nathan Fillion, bunch of people.
Fillion will be killed off in the first 10 minutes. You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's friends with Gunn though, so he'll show up.
He's
for
there
that.
just to be killed off. As
Yeah,
a
he-
joke. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll show up for that role. That's the point. That's the fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Additionally, Idris Elba, John Cena, Storm Reed, who I don't know who that is, Fleur Labour, Nathan Fillion, Peter Capaldi, Pete Davidson, Alice Braga, Sean Gunn, Michael Rooker, Taika Waititi. There's just like
Taika Waititi,
name
yeah,
after
yeah.
name.
I forgot Peter Capaldi was in there as well. Like, that movie is going to be something, and they're pretty far into production on that at the minute. Someone tweeted at Gunn the other day, going, "Hey, please include." I think it was Deathstroke they were asking for. He's like, "Yeah, bit late to for requests now. When we finish shooting in like a month."
Mm. Yeah, and they just started shooting Batman. So I mean, the next batch of movies are in late stages.
They're at the point now where these probably exist.
Yeah. What's funny, I got the newer New Mutants trailer when I went to see Harley. And,
did you?
Yeah, and I didn't realize what it was at first because I knew there was a new trailer out a while ago, but I didn't see it, and it wasn't until it cut to one of the cast members went, "Oh, this is New Mutants. Oh, this thing still exists. This is weird."
The fact that it's actually coming out is kind of amazing.
And it's supposed to be the mutants' entrance into the MCU.
It's not.
I know,
I'll
but
that's
what they're claiming. So.
Well, there's a chance for a while that they were going to merge them because Feige did talk to Patrick Stewart about reprising his role, and Patrick Stewart said, "Nah, we said goodbye in Logan," and he respected the offer, but he was like, "Nah, we said goodbye." So I think
appreciate both sides of that.
Yeah, I think that means that we're probably going to get a proper reboot of it rather than an integration, just because at this point it makes more sense just to do it that way.
Fine, it makes sense, like you say, and I appreciate that they offered that. They were like, "Hey, if you guys want to do it, we get why that people might want to see that." But again, from Patrick Stewart says, like, no, we did our goodbye. That would feel we don't want to cheapen that.
So it's Birds of Prey.
It's a great time if you're into this idea of how. If you watch the second trailer and you like that take on what it looks like, you'll enjoy this movie. Is what I would say.
And if you watch that trailer and think that it sounds kind of obnoxious, then you'll probably feel like me. And it's not a terrible it's not like a terrible movie. Like it's not like I think it's well enough directed for the most part. I think it's got a good cast. I just don't really like this version of Harley Quinn that much, and the sense of humor that comes with this Deadpool sort of light sort of antics. It very much. It's the type of comedy that it feels like I can almost feel someone yelling at me saying, "Hey, I'm funny, look at me, I'm funny," and I just don't jive with that at all. So not for me. Not my. I like some snarky stuff, but this is not my type of snarkiness. If that makes
that's
any
fair.
sense.
As long as you realize that, you're not,
It's why I say if you watch that second trailer, I think that's very indicative of the movie. It's fair representation, and if you like that trailer, you will probably like this movie. If you hate that trailer and you think this is horrible and whatever, then you're probably not going to enjoy it. Yeah. It's probably not for you.
Yeah. So the sad part is that it's going to be a long time before, whether it be a TV show or a movie or whatever, that I get like some sort of more traditional Birds of Prey adaptation. It's a long time coming now, so that part sucks. But hey ho. Hopefully, Wonder Woman 84 and Batman and Suicide Squad are good.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just Wonder Woman for the rest of this year? Have we got it for DC movies?
I think so.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think they ramp up quite a bit starting next year, though.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because I imagine it'll be Suicide Squad earlier than Batman late in the year, since Batman's only just started shooting.
When are we due Black Adam?
Black Adam's like the end of next year,
Later.
and then Shazam's meant to be early 2022.
Shazam 2, Flash, and Aquaman 2 are all slated for
Aquaman
2022.
Might happen, but Flash won't happen.
Yeah, Flash. I'm dubious on that one.
Aquaman probably will, just on the sheer amount of money it made, rather than any other reason.
Well, I feel like the sequels to the ones that have already come out are more likely, just because they exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Birds of Prey is likely. I'm saying the ones that have been announced to exist are likely to exist.
To be fair, they never announced a Birds of Prey, proper movie after this yet. I think they were waiting and seeing the reception for this, and then deciding whether or not to go forward with that.
Yeah. So.
Which, I mean, I can't. That's probably the way it should be done, right?
Yeah.
I called this a backdoor pilot earlier on, and I think that's pretty fair. We'll put this out there, see what the response is. If it's positive, then we'll go ahead and make that movie, rather than just going, we know what people want, let's just make this. And usually they don't.
Yeah, I guess I just want an actual pilot and not a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, that's what I can get. I love this Huntress and this Black Canary.
I feel like this I'll take what I can get attitude should it feels antiquated, because we said goodbye to that. Like that's how we had to operate for a long time, because there was a long time when almost every comic book thing had to be under the I'll just have to take what we can get, because we're never going to get anything perfect.
Okay, but I'm not taking what I can get in terms of I'm not getting the characters there. Is it a Birds of Prey team in this movie? No, not really. It's a Harley Quinn movie, but I'm okay with that because I like this Harley Quinn movie. Would I want to see this team back for a Birds of Prey movie and maybe add in Oracle as you do it? Yeah, 100%.
Because the one thing
now that, let's be honest, the Joss Whedon Batgirl thing has fallen through.
Yeah.
But Oracle is maybe back on the table for the Birds
I
of
guess
Prey
the one thing I'll say positive about Deadpool 2 compared to this is that all the characters that it adds in Deadpool 2 do feel like they belong in relation to Deadpool, in the sense that, because I always feel like Harley Quinn doesn't really belong with the Birds of Prey. Like they aren't really that connected, and never really have been in the comics. Whereas Cable and that do feel connected to Deadpool, and it feels like, okay, yes, it makes sense for them to interact with him. And even though there might be a more serious version of, say, the X-Force that's worth doing, and a lot of people love the good X-Force comics, at least Deadpool is associated with them, so there's like a correlation there that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, I thought that was a fine point, but
no, it was. I can't argue it.
It's just hard to argue in the sense of, like, well, I mean, so what if they're not connected before this? This can be the starting that connection. Oracle and Black Canary weren't connected until they started doing, hey, let's try this.
Okay,
out
I'll put it this way: people who like Deadpool are more likely to also like the X-Force characters in Cable, and vice versa, right?
Okay.
Whereas I like Birds of Prey, I don't really like this type of Harley Quinn.
I'm not sure if that. I mean,
so for me, it's alienating, is what I'm saying. Like, you can sit there and say, "Oh, well, it's fine because I don't care." But
no, I get what you're saying. I don't think Deadpool is as inherently different from Cable as Harley Quinn is from Black Canary. For me, there's the they're both mutants and they're in that world, sure, but they're very different types of character. And I feel that the same kind of goes here with.
Yeah, but isn't Cable
the whole reason why they were thrown together in the comic, Cable and Deadpool, was because it was the reason in Deadpool 2, right? The comic just predates it, that it's the straight man, funny man shtick.
Yeah, well, wasn't Cable always associated with X-Force, though? Is that not like a thing?
Well, Cable came in but with the time-traveling apocalypse stuff.
Yeah.
So, Cable I don't think, came to X-Force till later.
Okay.
I just meant in the sense that for the movie-going audience, the people who saw Deadpool 1 and went, oh, I want more of this, I don't think Cable is inherently the choice of, he'll appeal to them necessarily. I think it worked in that movie because they wrote it well.
I mean, maybe that's just because, again, I've not read a whole lot of, I've not read any specific Cable or Deadpool stuff for a start, or really any X-Force. But just just seeing comic book covers and stuff, they all feel kind of like closely associated.
Well, they do these days, yeah, because it's years and years of them having done stuff together now. But there's no reason why we can't have years and years of Harley with.
Oh God, no! Please, no! No! I don't want it.
theoretically, I'm not saying they should. I'm saying there's no reason why they can't. Like this, like I said,
I want an actual Birds of Prey comic that I want to read. Thank you very much.
No, again, like I said, until the 90s, there was no connection between Black Canary and Oracle. There was no Birds of Prey, and they went, hey, let's try this and let's make it a thing, and then they did. And this could have theoretically, hey, let's put Harley Quinn in with these characters and make it a thing. And
yes. But when they put them together, though, it wasn't breaking anything that came before. It wasn't in spite or instead of something else. It was forming something new with two characters who had kind of nothing to do.
But given that there was no Oracle available because they weren't allowed, this was not in spite of that. This was, oh, hey, well, this is the best we can do.
If this is the best you could do, then I don't want it.
That's such a petty.
It's not pay. If you can't do something properly, don't do it at all. Like that is just my sentiment with so many things. Like, if I like, it's the same with let's say I don't like a knockoff version of a drink. If I can't have the proper version of the drink, then I just don't want the drink. And it's not an angry thing. It's just no, I just don't want it. There's no point. It's a waste of money.
Okay, so all right, we'll take Coke as an example in this scenario, right? You're thirsty. You haven't had a drink for 24 hours, and someone goes, here's some own brand Coke that you can have that you don't really like that much. You're not really into it. You've had it before, and someone gives you that, and they go, here, you can have this if you want. And you go, no, I'm good. You're not getting water instead. You're not getting anything else instead. It's that or literally nothing. Yeah, but
that's a false metaphor then, because the this is not a content. What I'm saying is that I would rather have something else that's completely different that is true to what it is, than have something that's not the true version of what it is, right? Even though it's completely different. So in this analogy, yes, other things do exist. Water exists. I can have water that's actually just water, and it fulfills me.
But in this context, the other option would have been just Harley Quinn. That was the context. They were like, "Hey, we'll do a Harley Quinn movie," and she went, "No, we'll do we'll bring in the other characters. We'll try this instead."
Well, no, just do the Harley Quinn movie, because then I can just happily ignore it because I know I don't like it. And I'll hardly comment on it, and I don't have to be annoyed by anything because it's a Harley Quinn movie. It'll please Harley Quinn fans, and I can just go about my merry way.
Fair enough.
I just like, yes, I like. Hey Matt, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Man of Steel or no Superman movie? If that's the two options, right? In the last 5 years, would you rather not have a Superman movie than Man of Steel? Maybe Batman v Superman's a better one to bring up because it's worse. But
yeah, I would say if I know that I'm getting Batman v Superman and not Man of Steel 2, then I'd for sure rather not have anything. I think Man of Steel is just going to stand by itself. But if it's just going to stand by itself, and this is a not so good Superman movie, but pretty decent alien invasion movie, that's fine.
Yeah,
but the fact that I know that it leads to Batman v Superman, which is easily 20 times worse.
Yeah, sure. In the context of what follows it, I think I'm with Matt on that. But in this context, I think Man of Steel is probably the more accurate comparison rather than the BVS, because I think you would agree, even though you don't like a lot of things in this movie, this is a better made movie than BVS.
Oh, it is. No,
that's not hard.
No, it's not hard. Which is why I think this is more applicable to Man of Steel in that context, where it's not a badly made movie. The
problem is this is a purely personal thing, and you keep trying to like point out the flaws. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't do something. I'm saying for me, I would rather not have this at all than have something that is like half-assed in terms of it being faithful to what it is. And I don't mean like, being faithful to a specific story or being faithful to whatever. Just being faithful to what the concept is entirely. For example, I would rather not have a new Halloween movie than have Halloween 2018. I did not like that movie. I mean, hell, with a lot of these movie franchises, I actively don't want any more of them because I feel like, but that's a different debate.
I get where you're going with that. I think my only response at that point is just don't watch it in next time. I know that sounds weird, but like, okay, no, you don't want any more of these movies. You don't want this, and that's fine. I get it. I get you. You're not into it. You don't want it. But I wanted this movie. I like this movie. Lots of other people wanted this movie and liked this movie. So why not let us have this movie?
Because in this exact case, what I said earlier is that it means an actual Birds of Prey adaptation is now less likely to happen for a longer time. is actively gating away some things because now there's this perception because it's been used. It's the same reason why we haven't a Green Lantern movie since 2011 because there has to be a time now we have to let it pass so that it's enough time has passed that we're allowed to try again.
Yeah, we are getting a Green Lantern TV show.
Yeah, but it's already been 9 years since that last movie.
Yeah.
It'll be another year at least before that TV show, maybe more, so it's a decade. It took a decade. That movie delayed a potential good Green Lantern story on screen for a decade. Right? So you tell me now, there's going to be a decent attempt at Birds of Prey in 10 years' time. Oh yeah, great, I'll look forward to that in my 40s, thanks. It's a long time. Every time they mess something like this up, unless you're Batman, not even Superman, just Batman or Joker.
Batman.
Yeah.
Unless you're related to Batman, you can keep making whiffs. But, I mean, how many years was between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins?
97, 2005, 8.
So, and now it's ramping up because look at Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's the other one, actually. Batman or Spider-Man. Those ones can fail and come back within a few years, and that's very quick.
The only thing is, this only fails financially. I think in terms of
creatively,
characters to screen, creatively, it doesn't. I think Matt, mentioned Green Lantern near the start of this. This is not Green Lantern. This is not completely missing those characters and the point. This is pretty close.
Right. It's about there.
I mean,
all right, let's rate this so I can go. I got stuff to do before the Oscars tonight, guys.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean the characterizations are there, but I don't think as a Birds of Prey story it's satisfying in any way, shape, or form. So I just whatever.
Canary Huntress team up to take down Black Mask. I'd read that Birds of Prey comic.
Yeah, and if it focused on them for the whole movie and them forming a team and a bond, they barely speak to each other. It's they've barely interacted by the end of the movie. They meet each other, half hour before the end. I mean, you could probably count how many lines of dialogue they share with each other in one hand. Maybe 2 if you're lucky.
I'd say probably 2, just given the epilogue scenes.
Very probably, but it's not like it really focuses on their relationship. Everyone goes through Harley. Everyone kind of, and that's frustrating. But all right, we can rate it. We can let Matt go because he's getting antsy. Carter, what are you giving Birds of Prey?
I'll give it an 8. Yeah.
All right, Matt.
This is for those that are new. My rating system and Connor's very rarely line up because they're so wonky apart from each other. But this is a weird time that they do because I'm also giving an 8.
All right. Well, I am not giving it an 8. I can safely say this is not a bad movie. I wouldn't say that. I think it's a mediocre movie with some good qualities that's fairly well directed, but there's a lot of adaptation things with characters that I just flat out hate. So because of that, I'm giving it a 5.5, and that's where I land.
I see it's higher than I thought he was going to give it. I thought he was going to go to a 5.
No,
because it's perfectly mediocre.
It's well directed, but I never got invested in it, and I feel that ambivalent about what's going on in the story. That's where it feels mediocre. That's where it feels like I just don't give a shit. So yeah, I'm good. I mean, honestly, this is kind of on par for Joker with me in terms of overall feelings.
I would watch this again in the theater before
I probably would too. I would probably watch this again before Joker, but I feel like in terms of where I land on it, it's kind of in a similar place.
It's just baffling to me, personally.
Yeah, it did very little for me. I laughed a few times.
This is a fun romp. Joker was painful and not it's not. The fact that people keep calling it original makes me want to scream.
Oh yeah, that whole thing.
It's not that original. It's not.
That whole thing on Twitter where someone says Joker's an original film and Little Women's been adapted several times. I'm like, how many movies has Joker been in? Joker's an 8-year-old character.
The worst part of that, because that was from someone who's actually voting, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was from a producer. They kept anonymous. It was a male producer who was obviously voting and explaining their votes. And I'm like, oh, this person is terrible.
You know, we talked about this on this episode earlier about, just close enough isn't good enough. And that's how I felt about the CW shows, because for a while, the fact that stuff was getting referenced was enough for some people to go, oh my God, it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. And I feel that's where a lot of people like Joker is, oh, look, it's doing a Joker origin. All right, well, how about you don't rip off Martin Scorsese? Then get back to me. Make it truly original. Do a movie where you get three, it's multiple choice, right? Three different Joker origins, you pick which one. Now, nominate that one. But this, yeah. So.
Do you know how I would sum up my feelings on this, actually, just to sort of give it a sort of final, punctuation mark? It's kind of like, this movie actually does a lot of things right that I'm sick of superhero movies getting wrong, in terms of not being too big, and in terms of not focusing on, over focusing on origin stories and all that stuff. I just don't think it's that good a movie, like, at a base level. So it leaves me in this really mixed, weird place. And then you add in all the stuff that I don't like about the adaptation side of things, about Cassandra and so on. And you get where I'm at. So, but these two love it, and everyone else on Twitter seems to love it, and
it's fun, and we all know Pete hates fun.
Right.
You are really not helping your reputation with that.
I gave Kick-Ass as an example. Kick-Ass is an example to me that is just a pure fun action hero movie, and it has heart, and it has all the things I want from a movie like that.
He hates fun. We got it.
Yeah.
I love fun.
Cool.
I love Bubba Hotep. How dare you say I don't like fun?
Yeah, there it goes.
Bubba Hotep's amazing. All right.
Anyways, Kick-Ass is overrated. That's just me. So.
Just when I thought we were cooling down, argument's over.
Yeah, Matt has to throw that in. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
That's the FUs. You walk out the door and lock it.
Coming from the man who had Kong Skull Island at like number 5 in his top 10 for last year.
And, it was number 3. How dare you? And also because it's fun.
I really want to know what's got his Kong Skull Island slot this year.
I think I had it figured out at one point. Yeah, I think I had it figured out at one point, and I've forgotten what I thought it was now. Anyway, this has been our review or discussion of Birds of Prey, the new DC movie. We will be back. Obviously, we'll be reviewing movies constantly before that, but we'll be back obviously for the next one, which is Wonder Woman, as well as, I mean, Cara won't be here for it, but I'm sure me and Matt are going to do Black Widow. What have they got at the end of the year? Is it Eternals? Is that this year?
I believe so.
Who knows?
I'm just there for Jack Kumail, really.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that is. But so that's been our review. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, we mentioned earlier on patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to do it financially. You can also support us by rating the podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Give us a little review. More people will find us that way. And of course, you can check out other content we have. I mentioned the other movie podcasts earlier. Screams After Midnight for horror movies. The Atomic Cinema Experiment for sci-fi movies. Obviously 121's where you get all your kind of other movies that are not in those two categories. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys. And if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.